We want to welcome back to the Journal Mike Conaway, Congressman from Texas, a Republican, serves on the Armed Services Committee and on the Intelligence Panel. Let me begin with Russia. Here's the front page of the Financial Times this morning. Fears of Russia-fueled arms race as Ukraine jets downed. 2 Ukrainian fighter jets were shot down over eastern Ukraine yesterday, underscoring a stark truth for the international community. The separatist insurgency confronting Kiev is armed with an arsenal of growing size and sophistication.
Well, Greta, thanks for having me on this morning. Yes, and that's all coming from Russia. This is Putin's issue. He could stop this with one word, and he's choosing to not do that. It fits into his broader plan for an ascendant Russia, and it's dangerous and it's unsafe, and it will get worse. And so this is all about Putin.
Vladimir Putin has said, we didn't supply these things, and when asked where did they get them, he said, a shop.
Yeah, it's like, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? It's clear, public, open press reporting that they've got these movements across the Russian border. This is old Russian gear that may not be in service in Russia today, but they've got them in stockpiles in vast amounts. And so these are Russian weapons, and this is Vladimir Putin's game.
What to be done?
Well, that's the problem. We're in a position now where we don't have a lot of good options. Some of that's self-inflicted. Early on, when President Obama basically blinked when he and President Putin had the stare down by removing our missile defense program from Eastern Europe, by trying to quote-unquote reset the with Russia. He set us off on a bad path. NATO has contributed to this lack of strength and lack of ability to push back by not properly funding their military over the years. Europe is in a tough place because they've allowed themselves to become hostage to Russian energy. And so there are not a lot of good options in this deal, but I do think that stronger sanctions would help get the attention of the folks in Russia who are supporting and backing Putin. Part of the problem is that Putin is very popular back home right now. He's winning, and he's the cat's meow, so to speak. And so we are giving up a lot of things that have happened before this dust-up started. We're not in a position, a very strong position, to be able to do much in terms of Ukraine at this point.
Well, and your colleague over in the Senate, Bob Corker, a Republican in Tennessee, the top Republican on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is quoted as saying Europe is feckless in response to Russia.
Well, that word can be used about a lot of things that are going on, including this White House that's a bit toothless as well. But yeah, Europe is this is Europe's problem as well as a world problem. Peace and conflicts like these lead to other conflicts and broader conflicts, and so there is a legitimate national security interest for the United States to be engaged in this issue. We need to be a lot more forceful with Mr. Putin as to the fact that we know he's causing this, and that it's his end game is to broaden the reach of Russia and to cause the rest of the world to think that Russia is a world power.
Well, Senator Bob Corker also says President Obama is being forceful. I do want to give this administration an attaboy. The day before the incident occurred with the Malaysia Airlines, they did put in place some sectoral sanctions on 2 energy companies, 2 banking entities, 8 arms dealers, and I thank them for that.
Yeah, I do too. But they're going to have to do more than that than just going after Putin's friends. Again, this is going to be tough on Europe, tough on relationships. If you look at Israel's got problems with wanting to do deals with Russia, yet they should be helping the Ukrainians as well. I mean, each of the countries that ought to be pushing back has a conflict of interest, so to speak, or a self-interest issue that falls into how we push back on this expansion that Putin is driving.
So what should the president do then? You said more needs to be done.
More needs to be done. We need to strengthen our NATO allies. We need to provide some assistance to Ukraine and make sure that no one is in the least amount of doubt that we're against everything that President Putin is doing. And I think the president needs to engage Putin and say, look, you've got to stop this. You can stop it. We know you're doing it, and be a more forceful player on the field than what he appears to be doing right now.
How do you help Ukraine military without to make them a match against Russia? How do you do it without putting U.S. forces there?
You can't do that. You can't make them a match. You can give them a morale boost by giving them certain things, and we have been giving them some. But their neighbors.
What are you talking about specifically, though?
Night vision goggles, body armor, MREs, the kinds of things that they do need that would say, hey, you do have a fight. The Ukrainians are fighting, and that's the important thing. But they're way outnumbered, not from the separatist standpoint, but from Russia's standpoint. So you're not going to get the Ukrainian military to a point that it can protect itself from an all-out Russian assault. But we can do the things to try to push Russia back and let them know we're watching, we see what they're doing. This shoot down could not have been a part of what they really thought it should happen. It's helped galvanize world opinion on the side of pushing back on Russia. But this is just a mid-step, and I think a long game that Putin has with respect to the former Soviet countries like Latvia and others, where he may start this exact same kind of model where he foments trouble, causes trouble to be committed in these countries, and then under the umbrella trying to protect ethnic Russia. Is starting these kind of problems. So this will not be his only bite at the. It has, he did it in Russia, Georgia, 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and it's a plan that he's got that I think will be further expanded if we don't do a better job pushing back. And we have very limited options to do that with because of the circumstances we've allowed to accrue over the last 10 or 15 years.
Let's hear from Bobby first in Burlington, North Carolina, Democratic caller. Hi, Bobby, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Morning.
I would like to say that I don't see why it's a foreign policy challenge facing the United States. What it is, over the years, white folks been trying to tell everybody all over the world what to do and what not to do, what they can do and do in their own country. What the United States do is just trying to get themselves together and leave everybody else alone. That everybody will be better. And I think that somebody should go down and bomb Israel. The United States giving them bombs, weapons, and everything like that, killing the Palestinians, and nobody's doing anything about that. Everybody likes to see that, Don.
All right. Well, let's talk about U.S.
Did he just say we should bomb Israel?
He did.
Really?
Go ahead. Respond.
The United States should bomb Israel? That took a little edge off the rest of your comments, gentlemen. That's just so inane as to almost defy response. No, we're not the world's police officer. I got that. But we are the superpower in the world, and with that moral authority comes responsibility to act where we should, and we've got to be judicious about that. We should never act unless we've got a clear national interest of our own in which to protect or Americans to protect. But violence of this scope in any country is a danger to the rest of the region. If you look back in 1914, when the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand rolled into a much bigger problem. In and of itself, it should not have been the trigger for World War I, but it was, as you look at the things that happened around there. So you can't know on the front end if something like this isn't the trigger to something bigger. And so we have a national security interest in it. And again, we've got limited options based on what we've done. But let me make sure you understand, I'm categorically against the United States taking military action against Israel. That's nonsense.
We'll go on to Josh, Leesburg, Virginia, independent caller.
Yeah, good morning. So bombing Israel is insane. Bombing anyone really at this point is insane. We're living in a new age where really that kind of action can spell the end. The panelists talked about fomenting. If I replay this thing just based on the filtered accounts that we get on our media outlets, I saw lunatics burning a city down. They didn't remind me in any shape or form of people taking part in a democratic movement, so to speak. If people were doing that here on the streets, I would expect that we would clean that up quickly.
Josh, what are you referring to?
Well, what began the chain of events in Ukraine.
Okay. All right.
Was anarchists in the street burning things down, not going to the polls, waiting till the next election, exercising their democratic rights.
So Josh, what do you think should be done?
Well, let's just back up. Let's play the events over real quick. Otherwise, we're jumping the gun.
Josh, we need to get to your comment or question here because we've got other people waiting to talk to the congressman.
I'm going to make some quick comments. I haven't spent as much time as the last caller. I don't hear enough critical thinking here. Let's assume that the separatists shot Ukraine, okay? 5 minutes ago, some of those separatists were colonels in the Ukrainian army. You act as if the separatists are all specifically aligned with Russia. Maybe